Welcome to Focus on B, the video series where I spend about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on, and this is Xpand Rally Xtreme. Yes, with 2 X's, because it's 2006. Here's the sales pitch for this game. Do you like Colin McRae Rally, any of them? Of course you do. It's the Tony Hawk of rally games. Everyone likes it. But are you horrified of the concept of downloading a game not from any of the major platforms like Steam, GOG, or Uplay, EA, whatever the fuck? Well, I have the game for you because this game is still on Steam. I got it for 50 cents on sale. Yeah, now that's what I call value, because this is a rally game. And if you know rally games, these games pack some fucking content. You know how like people talk about how Gran Turismo is like, you know, the forever game. It's like you can never stop playing it. Well, rally games, the good ones at least, they're like Gran Turismo, but the driving is actually fun. So you want to keep playing it, not just to unlock shit, but because you want to keep playing it, because it's really fun to play. And I've been having a really good time with this game. It took a little bit of time to get used to. And admittedly, I'm not playing this game the way that maybe the developers intended, because... So you know how Dirt 4 had this whole arcade and sim thing going on, because they just didn't know what they were doing with, like, okay, so we have the Dirt games before, which are very arcade, but then we made Dirt Rally, and people really liked that. It was more sim. Well, shit. We don't want to develop a separate game. What the fuck just happened? My car just stalled. I had no idea that could happen. Well, let's just make one game where it's both, except we don't do either quite as well. Even though I think Dirt 4 is perfectly fine. I should play it again. But it's not on Steam anymore, so I'm gonna have to go and visit the 7 Seas, sail the 7 Seas again to get it. But anyway, where was I? Yeah, well, this game does the same thing. That's right, when you make a profile, which it kind of sucks that you can't change it. I think you could change it mid-game in Dirt 4. But here you have to make a new profile. You can choose between arcade or simulation. Now, I recommend you go arcade. I tried simulation mode. The truth is, the handling isn't too different. The cars are a little bit heavier. I found the game a little bit more fun in terms of the actual driving, but there was a problem. And maybe it was because the driving was just that slight bit more challenging, but the problem was the fact that the AI just became way too fast. Like the times you were expected to beat. They just became absolutely just impossible. Okay, not impossible, probably some skill issues involved, but like seriously, I had maxed out my car at that point. I couldn't do shit. It's like what, like grind even more and get a better car, I guess? It was insane. I switched over to arcade, and now I'm not going to say I've been breezing through the career mode, but I've definitely felt that it's... restart that. I definitely feel that it's much more fair in terms of difficulty. Clearly, you still have to take this shit seriously. You can't just drive around like an idiot. Like, you actually have to drive properly and pay attention to the signs, right? But it's not impossible. Right? It's still a generally arcadey experience. The game does have a lot more of an edge to it than Colin McRae. For one, not again, in the exact same tree too. There's a lot more damage here. That probably is helped by the fact that this game has no licensed vehicles. That's why it's still on Steam. Because despite the fact that the cover art for the game features an actual Citroen with the logo of a gas station that is literally right by my house, the actual game doesn't feature any real brands or any logos that are legitimately copyrighted. And so because of that, you know, it's the first 2 games, and the only games in this series, because Techland now make Dying Light. I think, did they make a Dying Light 2 as well? Still, that's what you probably know them for, if you know them at all. Yeah, well, they're still on Steam because of that. No legal bullshit to worry about. There are a couple of games that are quite old as well that have licensed vehicles and are still on Steam. I think Race 07, also GTR 2, I think that's what it was called. There was also this one, GT Legends, although I've heard very bad things about its compatibility on modern Windows, so, you know, maybe don't buy it. But still, the point is that this game is kind of a bit of a rarity, and its existence, right? Now, to me, it doesn't really make that much of a difference because I know my way around the internet, don't you know, and I can find basically any game however I want to. But this is kind of an interesting exception. Like, I saw it on Steam and I was just like, huh, okay, I'll take it, you know? Also, I do actually recommend you buy this game. You're not going to hear me say that a lot because of... I was born in Eastern Europe, so shut the fuck up. No, because some games are genuinely just ridiculously overpriced. But this game, you should definitely buy it if you're going to get it. Not for any reason of, oh, support the developers, because let me tell you, they don't need your support. What it actually is that it has Star Force DRM. The original retail release. Fuck, I've destroyed this car. But yeah, the original retail release has Star Force DRM, and that basically murders your computer, right? It renames one of your drives or something, and it essentially almost... It's malware. Nowadays, it functions as malware, so don't try it. Just wait till this game goes on sale. I can't really say if it's worth... Well, how much is it normally? I think it's like... I think it's $5-6. Yeah, I'd still say that's relatively worth it, but if you can get it on sale, do that. That's kind of a no-brainer. I mean, that's for any game. But if you expect... Like, if you have a higher standard of, like, I want my games to look a certain way, I want them to have a certain amount of content... Yeah, you might be a little disappointed if you spend any more than like $1 or $2 on this game. I'm not disappointed at all. I got a great deal on this shit. But other than that though, like how is this game as a whole? Like, is it fun at all? Is it just a cheap thrill? No, actually, I'd say that the handling, for one, is relatively. It's not totally like, even though it states arcade. Oh fuck me! Wait, it's wet. Okay, we're gonna see how this goes. Even though it's relatively... Fuck. If you hit S, it opens up a chat box. Why is there a chat box in this? There's also a console thing. It's like a first-person shooter. I tried typing in no clip to see what happens. Nothing happens. Anyway, so the handling, even though it says arcade, I'd still say it's the smidge on the more realistic side than Colin McRae. I can't say it's like totally realistic, although it's been a long time since I've played Dirt Rally, to be fair. Or Dirt Rally 2.0. But with that fucking 100 gigabyte download, I'm like, no matter how much it goes on sale, I might just never get it, because it's like, yeah, I may have 730 gigs on one of my drives, of my multiple drives, but just the concept, to me, of that much space being taken up by a video game, I don't know why, it just kind of, it feels weird. Like, this game takes up like 2 gigs, and it's hundreds of hours of fun, so... I don't know. Whatever. It's a principle thing more than anything, right? I could buy it... If I got, like, a new PC with, like, 5 terabytes, I'd still be a little bit iffy about it. I'd still be like, that's a bit weird. But, anyway, but yeah, so the handling is punishing, as you can tell. Like, you have to focus. You actually have to drive properly. And the simulation handling is just a little bit heavier. As for the progression... it's quite your standard thing where you just kind of go through events, you eventually get gifted cars, you complete these special events, which, like, I actually have not purchased a new car at any point in this career. I've simply won cars. Don't worry, it's not a precursor to Forza Horizon where it's like, hey, you've been playing for 5 minutes, have a Centenario. It's like, no. You do have to play for quite a bit. But it's not excessive, and you can also buy cars if you want, if you've grinded up enough. I have a problem personally with the way this game handles damage and paying for repairs. It feels like no matter what happens, you will always pay a fixed amount per car. Like my last car, I could have a race where I would drive, I'm not going to say perfectly cleanly, but okay, cleaner than that for sure. And then I would still have to pay about $2.5 grand. And I could also have a race where I completely fucking obliterate the damn thing. And I still have to pay only $2.5 grand. So it's kind of a double-edged thing. But it's like, at that point, why even have that system? Just automatically repair the car and have the player earn less money. Honestly, because like with every event, no matter how well I do, I always end up earning with this car $3 grand less than I actually should. It's like some kind of fucking income tax in the game. You know, it might as well be that, right? Because it doesn't feel fair. I legitimately do not feel encouraged to drive better. I feel like I should just drive as recklessly as possible as long as I win, because then I'll still end up paying the same amount regardless. I'll just be done with the event faster. Also, you might have noticed something underneath my damage indicators, which is very common for racing games. But there's a little dude down there sitting down. Yeah, that's my driver. This is one of the rare racing games where you can legitimately kill your driver. Oh no, they don't contextualize it as killed, but, you know, driver injured. And that's fucking weird, first of all, the concept, because I'm so used to, like, you know, in a racing game, you're invincible in your car, nothing can ever go bad. I remember when I was a kid, there was this weird game that I played, I don't remember the name of it. Like, my dad used to get me games, you know, not the legitimate way, but it doesn't matter. He would just, like, randomly, hey, like, I downloaded you this game, and it was kind of similar to, it looked a bit like a weird mix of, like, Midnight Club and Need for Speed Underground. It was always at night, had really slidey handling, I remember, and I swear to God, your character could die. Now, I might be misremembering, but I very vividly remember, at some point in the game, the screen switches over to, like, this yellow background with the player car and a silhouette of a guy with his eyes wide open on the steering wheel, and you hear, like, a, "Don't move." Now, I'm assuming that means it's cops. It's not the player dying, but that scared the shit out of me when I was a kid. I was like, what the fuck, I'm dead. I thought my character died or something. And that shook me up real bad because, again, the concept of your character in a racing game being a mere mortal, that's like a foreign concept to me. It's like, oh, the car can break, but you can never die. Like the player, look at that, $4 grand. Okay, I deserved that, to be fair. So, if anyone knows what that game is, let me know, I guess, because, like, maybe I should visit r/tip of my joystick or something, because, like, seriously, what is that game? Anyway, where were we? Gravel 100%, okay. Tires make a difference, let me fucking tell you. So when I played Colin McRae 2005, and really any of the Colin McRae games, I'm not gonna lie, I never really noticed too much of a difference. Do I already have these? I think I do. Yeah, I do. I can't really say I noticed too massive of a difference when it comes to, let's buy something, when it comes to the parts you would equip and how they affect your car. I might just be wrong about that, but here, let me tell you, it makes a difference. You need to be very careful of what kind of tires you choose, because the game can straight up become unplayable. And whoa, nighttime racing, look at that. That's actually really cool. You know, it looks pretty nice. I can't say that it's, like, the worst looking nighttime. Ooh, the sky is very pretty. You know, I wonder what's the best night sky that I've ever seen in a racing game? Yeah, I mean, I guess the obvious answer nowadays would just be whatever is the newest, I guess. I mean, it's not a guarantee, but I'm sure that Dirt Rally 2.0 is no slouch in that department. I haven't actually seen what the night levels look like in that game, but I'm sure they look great. Or WRC 20 Free, which actually Codemasters developed. WRC is weird. I gotta do a video on at least one of the games, because, like, it started with, I don't even know who, but it started on, I think, the PS2, and then, for fuck's sake, then it went over to Milestone, who now make, well, now you might know them for Hot Wheels Unleashed 1 and 2, and also for the MotoGP games. They used to do the WRC games. Then they went over to Kiloton Games for a couple years. Then now they're Codemasters, although now it's 26 most likely by the time this video is out, so it might be someone else. Who knows? Because, oh god, it's so weird to think that Codemasters now work for EA. Oh man. Even though that acquisition happened quite a few years ago. But regardless of that, though, yeah, I remember playing Need for Speed Payback and really liking the way the skyboxes look. That game has a cool effect where when you use nitrous, the game becomes more saturated, and when you use nitrous at night, oh, that looks really nice. Well, that game was a bit mixed when it came to its art style. Maybe I'll do a video on it at some point. Maybe. That's a very hard maybe. I'm not sure if I'll ever cover that game. I don't even want to play it again, even though it's not a bad game. I'm glad that people have been warming up to it as of late, because I always enjoyed it quite a bit. I liked it more than 2015. Yeah, and I don't totally hate 2015. Like, what's my least favorite Need for fuck's sake? What's my least favorite Need for Speed game? I don't know. Probably, this is going to be a really hot take. Maybe the Run. Yeah, the Run. Just structurally, it kind of bothers me the way that it plays. Also, I'm not a huge fan of the handling. I know it was Black Box's swan song, and it's actually a solid game on its own. And very ambitious, too. I just don't see myself replaying it too much. But hey, nowadays it's practically abandonware, so, you know, you can give it a shot with no worries. But I can't really say I recommend it too much. I've tried so many times to get into it, and I just never could, you know? Like, at first I thought, okay, maybe it's because my computer's not good enough to run the game maxed out. I got one that can run the game maxed out. Still, I was like, I don't really want to play this, you know? It's not really about that. It's just kind of a matter of how fun the game actually is. Whatever, let's not talk about that. So what else is there about Xpand Rally Xtreme? I was worried, actually, about the game's environmental variety. Because in the marketing they pushed the fact that it had a bunch of exotic locations, a lot of Asian locations, and I was worried that shit, does that mean that every track's gonna look the same? No, actually, because as you can see, I think I'm in, what am I in right now? France or Italy? I can't tell. But basically, they haven't thrown out all of the tracks they had from the previous game, which was more traditional. Europe and all that, and it has America as well, lots of different European locations. It just add the Asian stuff on top, which means that there's a lot more overall environmental variety, and I appreciate that. You know, I was genuinely concerned, like, oh fuck, I don't want to be racing on the same track over and over again, but no, there's plenty of different kinds of tracks. You just gotta play a little more. Like, they put a lot of the more exotic locations at first to kind of, you know, show you, it's like, hey, look, we got all these new things here. But then as the game goes on, they reintroduce the more familiar stuff, and I like that. I like the way that they approach the career mode. It's very fun. Like, I've seriously played this game for a lot more than I thought that I would have played it, because, I don't know, like, rally games have this incredible replay value to me, and yet can also get a little bit boring if not handled totally right. It's interesting how, for example, I love replaying the Colin McRae games, and I love playing this as well. And I might give Old School Rally a shot, even though I think I've commented on that game before. It's too similar to Colin McRae Rally 2.0. Like, it's not enough for it to be the exact same game, but with widescreen and 60 FPS. You gotta do something a little bit different. Come on. Whatever. There was this other game called, like, #Drift Rally, I believe. That game looks a little cooler. It has a cool gimmick going on with the co-drivers. Yeah, repair the car, tax. Oh, what the fuck? That was $6,000. Was that more than I actually made from the event? No, it wasn't. Okay, that's good, but Jesus Christ. Okay, let's not do any more nighttime races because I don't want to be showing you just a bunch of nighttime races again. Let's do, yeah, clear. That can work. Okay. So where was I? Oh, yeah, but when it comes to something like WRC, well, I don't know. I've never been able to get into WRC because it takes itself a little too seriously, even though what's interesting is that back when Milestone were in charge, it didn't take itself too seriously. In fact, I think WRC Free had, like, cartoony Inside Sim Racing described them as, like, Street Fighter characters, I think. Like, they had these weird caricatures of characters in the menus interacting with you, and it was like, what the fuck? Is this supposed to be an officially licensed rally game? But I kind of like that now. There's a bit of charm to it, you know? Because they take themselves so seriously now, they're so minimalist and clean. And I get that. It looks good, and I admittedly can be a little bit turned off by having too much character in a game's UI, especially. It gets a little bit corny, right? Like, I cannot tell you, honestly, that when I look at, I've been looking at both WRC 4 and 5 because they're super cheap on Steam right now, but I think I'm not going to get either after really thinking about it. But when I look at, like, WRC 4 and then 5, I cannot say in good faith that I think 4 is the more visually appealing one. Not just the graphics. I mean the UI as well. It's just kind of cartoony, and it's not as bad as WRC Free, I think, but still. Whereas WRC 5, it's nice and clean, and, you know, it still looks relatively modern, even though it's like it was like 11 years ago. And that's fine. It's easy on the eyes. And this game has a better UI than WRC 4, to be honest. Just because it's not quite as bulky. Even though it clearly shows its age, but generally minimalism is kind of hard to make age badly, right? Unless you really fuck it up and minimalize in the wrong ways. But anyway, what else? I'm kind of, at this point, it's like, it's a little bit tricky to commentate over these kind of games because what else do I talk about now? I'm kind of just driving around and having a good time. But that's the thing, it's just a good time. I really, really enjoy rally games. You get so much pure enjoyment out of them. It's weird because as much as I love racing games, I get bored with them relatively easily, but for some reason rally games, that just doesn't happen. And it might just be because of the way the cars drive, the way you can whip them around these dirt courses, and the courses are more interesting. I like this kind of stuff more than just your typical streets or racetracks. I like driving around in the unknown, in the wilderness. I mean, it's not the unknown, these are paved, not paved, but, you know, the rally drivers study them beforehand. But it feels adventurous. You get all these, like, what do you call them, these different tribal elements and villages and all. You know, it feels like you're going on some kind of adventure, even though in reality you're just kind of following a path. And that's good enough for me. I really enjoy that kind of stuff. And it's just eye candy. Even though this game's visuals haven't aged super well, it's still very easy to look at as long as you turn off the fucking piss filter. So I think that's gonna, oh my god, nice. That's still a lot of money though, Jesus Christ. Anyway, I think that's gonna do it for this episode of Focus on B. I really enjoyed this game. Don't try and like get it any other way than on Steam. Not for any other reason, but the fact that it might just destroy your computer. So, unless you can... Nah, who am I kidding? I mean, like, this game isn't popular enough to have alternative means of acquiring the Steam version as well. I found archives of the original, but don't fucking install the original because it has Star Force DRM. So don't do it. That's very smart. That's a very smart way of retroactively making people buy your game. Anyway, that's gonna do it for now. This episode of Focus on B, the video series where I spent about 20 or so minutes playing and talking about a game that I've got some thoughts on. This has been Xpand Rally Xtreme PC 2006.